Hello my friends, this is Jeannie. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Today is the day that I finally get to sew the signatures into my mini journals. Yay! So, if you have not been following my journey with these journals up to this point, be sure to check out the videos. I am sharing my entire process from start to finish on how I recycle some empty soap boxes into cute mini journals. And today I am going to share my process for sewing the signatures into the journal. So I will link all of those videos that I just mentioned in this area here throughout the video so that you can catch up. And oh boy, I have to tell you, sewing the signatures into the journal is probably my least favorite part and the part that I struggle with the most. But still, I'm going to try to record it. I'm going to try to make it make sense. So, first of all, let me catch you up on what happened with the spine. I did go with that tassel that I shared in that last video. I did hook it directly onto the ring fastener, and then I trimmed the tassel to a length that made sense. And I think it looks gorgeous. It's perfect. And except for opening a jump ring and doing a little trimming, it didn't require much work. And I love that I got to use something that was in my stash forever. So that is how that spine worked out. I'll start by sharing with you the tools that I use to do my sewing into signatures. Let's start with the thread. I use waxed thread. I get mine from Amazon. I have this awl. I'll be using that. You also need a needle. You need a needle. I think this type of needle is either a tapestry needle or maybe a doll. I don't think it's one of my doll making ones because she's too short. But it's one of several needles that I have. I've been collecting them over the years. I've been doing this and putting them in this little plastic vial. You need a needle. You need, I would say you need some clips to hold your signatures together while you sew them in. And you need a marking tool. And a piece of paper to create a template is key. And that's essentially all you need. So what I do, and this is my process, this is what works for me, is I start by creating a template. You need a template. And again, I'm using a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. It's a very simple stitch. I learned how to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch by watching tutorials here on YouTube, like anything else, right? So what you need is a piece of paper. The paper should be the height of your journal and the width of the spine. So this piece of paper fits perfectly in this book because I cut it to the height and width of the spine. This is going to be your template. Once I cut it to the proper size, the very next thing I did was write top. Pick a side and just designate that the top. Write the word top and know that when you use this template in the future, you will always orient it so that the top is at the top. Because if you don't mark it and you just flip back and forth, you're going to have some wonky stitches. I know my holes are not perfectly spaced in between. So if I just flip this back, forth, top, bottom, I'm going to have wonky stitches. I don't want wonky stitches. I want stitches that line up like this. Look how beautiful that lines up. Okay, and that's because I always oriented my template in the correct direction when I was making the holes for each of the signatures. This will probably make more sense as I continue in the process, but definitely do yourself a favor Save yourself the frustration. Mark your template. There is a top. There is a bottom. Mark the top. Okay, so I know now when I use this template, there's the top. Now, to create the holes for a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, you need 3 holes. Easiest way I find to do that and not have to use a ruler is take your template, fold it in half. Okay, and then open. That's the center. Okay, then take either the top or the bottom, fold that up. I say more than ½ inch. ½ inch should be the minimum. That's because you don't want your holes too close to the top of the signatures. You risk ripping your pages doing that. So I bring them down at least ½ inch. So I'll fold up and down at least ½ inch. And I try so that they're even, but again, I'm eyeballing it. This is why it's important that you have a designated top. Okay, so when you do that, fold this way, open, fold this way, and then this way, open, open. You have your 3 rows. Okay, so those are the rows where the holes for each of the signatures is going to be perfectly lined up, or near perfect. Now, to create the columns, fold the paper in half and then fold it in half again. Doing that gives you your columns. And then anywhere the lines for your rows and your columns meet, you're going to dot or mark so that you can see it. I need to mark it because I have bad vision. I usually use a pen, mark it, and then you have a perfect template for a 3-hole pamphlet stitch with 3 signatures. If you're using more than 3 signatures, this isn't going to work for you. I use 3 signatures probably because this is super easy and I can manage this. So that's my template. Because I'm going to mark it with a pen, I want to poke some holes in the template so I can get the point of that pen through the paper to actually mark on the fabric. So I did take a pokey tool and just poke anywhere I had those marks. So I have all my holes in the paper already pre-poked. And then when I mark, obviously the pen will make contact with the fabric, no problem. I line it up on the spine, went through with a pen and marked each of the holes. Kept double checking, making sure everything's lined up because, you know, once you poke holes, it's kind of hard to recover from that. You can, but it's difficult. And then I take my awl and I go through and I make those holes as well. Okay, anywhere I have the mark, I'm going to poke through the spine with my awl. I already poked the bottom row, the middle row, and we'll poke the top row together. So I'm just going to find that mark and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until this goes through. And I'm always double checking things. Anytime I'm about to do something that's somewhat permanent, now I can tell this one's going to give me a bit of a problem. And what I'll do is I'll remove the ring fastener. The reason this is going to give me a problem is that my ring fastener has this disc right here, and one of the holes is lining up behind that disc, so it's going to make it difficult for me to pierce the spine when I have this metal ring on the other side. Super easy solution. I'm going to take that off. Take that off for now. I'll put it back on when I'm done. Okay, so I'm going to continue with the holes. Sometimes you just have to MacGyver things, you know. So when I poke the holes, I do wiggle the awl around a little bit to widen the holes so that my needles, or my needle, one needle, will not meet much resistance. Still doing this, I struggle. Sometimes I still get that resistance. Like I say, this is the least favorite part of the process for me, but I want to share it with you. So I have my journal cover, has the holes. I have my signatures. Now before I start making holes in these signatures, I'm going to go through, make sure everything is facing the right way, in the direction that I want it. Nothing's upside down. Just a quick check. Everything looks good here. I'm going to take these clips that I have and just clip all of the papers in place. I don't want these things moving around once I start poking holes. When you poke holes, the papers shift, the holes are no longer aligned. Good luck with getting a needle through that. You get angry, you get frustrated. It kills the joy. So I use clips, lots and lots of clips. So it's one less thing I have to worry about. Okay, so those are my clips. Now this is going to be signature 1. So when I use the template, I'm going to make sure I use the first column of holes, because that is the column of holes for signature 1. I'm just going to fold that in like that. Take the template, line it up. You could mark it with a pen. I've been doing this long enough where I am comfortable just going straight through and poking the hole. Okay, so there are the holes for my signatures. Well, for this signature. And again, I'm just going to use that all to widen that hole a little bit. Don't go crazy. You don't want this thing wiggling around. Okay, so cover signature. Here's our needle. Here's the thread. What I do, 3 times the height of the journal. 1, 2, 3, and a little bit more. We are going to thread this. So for my 3-hole pamphlet stitch, I want the tails of the stitch to be on the inside of the signature. So I am going to start by taking my needle, going into that center hole, and I'm entering from the inside of the signature. I'm going to do that. Make sure I'm super hyper paranoid, so I'm just checking and rechecking. Make sure my journal cover is facing the correct way. So center hole in the signature, go through the center hole in the journal, come out. You can go up or down. I tend to go down, no real reason, just habit. And I know at this point it's going to be a little loose. I tighten it up afterwards. So far we've gone in through the center, out, went down, through that bottom hole, back up. So this is what we have so far. And keep an eye on this tail. Whatever you do, don't lose track of that tail. You don't want to accidentally pull it through and it's gone, because then you're going to have to undo all of this and do it again. Now, top hole. We're going to go from the bottom hole to the top hole. Through that top hole. Now, we're going to go through that same hole in the middle. You want to be careful. Try not to split your thread. There we go. I'm telling you, least favorite part of the process, but we are through, okay? Now, when both tails are on the inside of the book, you want to make sure one is on one side of this. Here, let me show you. You see how both of these are on the same side? Well, that's not going to work if you want to lock this into place. So you have to take one of those tails and bring it to the other side. So it's like that, okay? Now I can tighten this a little bit. You'll know by the tension. You should have a nice, there should be nice tension of this thread. It shouldn't be loose like that, obviously, right? It shouldn't even be loose like that, in my opinion. You want some tension. And we're going to make a knot. That's pretty good tension. And then, once your knot is done, you can decide if you want to keep it, keep the tails this long, or trim them. I tend to leave the tails long because I can always add some charms or something to it later. But that is first signature in. We're going to do it 2 more times, okay? So signature number 1 is in. I'm just going to clip these together. Keep that closed and out of the way. Signature number 1 is in. I think this is only the second time I've filmed myself doing a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Usually I struggle in silence, in solitude. That's done. Which signature is going to be signature number 2? Let's do gold. We'll do this one because, yeah, why not? Where is my template? Mama, what'd you do with your template? Goodness gracious. It's right in front of my face. Okay, so this is the one we're making the holes in. Here's my template. There's the top. This is signature number 2, so I'm going to use that center column of holes there. Line it up. Take my awl. Okay. We have that done. One, 2, 3, and a little extra. Okay, so remember, we want the knot on the inside of the signature, so we're going to start by threading through the hole from the inside. Go out. Ouch, just poked myself with that needle. Can't tell you how many times that happens. A lot. Okay, so far so good. up to the top hole. I have to be careful here. There are 2 holes here. One for the ring fastener and one I made for the signature. I almost went through the hole for the ring fastener. This is why you check as you're working. I'm going to hold on to that tail. I don't want to lose track of that. Okay. Now we're going back. And through the center hole. That wasn't too bad. It's very loose, but we're going to tighten that right now. Just need to tighten this a little bit. That feels pretty good. Well, that feels good. So let's knot it. Make it official. So we have 2 in. Now, let's do that 3rd one and then get that ring fastener back in there. And then all should be good. I suspect getting that ring fastener back in there is going to be a bit of a challenge. But I'm still going to try to do it. Okay, so here's our 3rd signature. She's pinned. Here's that template. This time we're going to use that 3rd roll because this is our 3rd signature. Here's the top. And line that up in here. No, it's a painful process, at least for me, slow and painful process. But it's one you have to take your time in doing, my friends, because if you don't get your signatures in correctly, then all the work you've done up to this point is just gone. A waste. Because it's all going to fall apart. If you take your time, as frustrating as it might be, and it is, the reward at the end is a good one. So there are the holes. Okay? One, 2, 3, and some extra. Feels good. Feels really nice. Now we can take all of these clips off. Well, actually, I'm going to pause right there. I'm not. while these things are clipped together, I am going to try to get this ring fastener back in. And she's back. That wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. That actually went really well. Now, she's done. Goodness gracious, golly gee. And the stitching looks very nice. Not bad at all. Is it perfect? No, but it's pretty good. I love the color. Works well with the tassel. And the signatures are in. Perfect. Look at that. Love it. And the tails, I'll trim them a little just to make them even, but I won't do much more than that at this point because I like to leave the option. If it turns out I don't want to add any charms, then I snip them off. If I want to add the charms, I have the option. Okay? But that is it. That is done. Goodness gracious. Signatures are in the books. Yay! Do you see the finish line? I see it. Do you see it? Because we're there. That's it. Next video is going to be a flip through of these beauties. And I can't wait to film that video. I can't wait to share with you the final result of all of the hard work. Yay! I can scratch this off my bucket list of journals I want to make. These are so stinking cute. To everyone, I will catch you all in the next video. Until next time, bye-bye.